For the last couple of weeks, we have been on a series which had a title, 12 months. And in the introductory paragraph, we discovered that the concept of time is different for a mystic and a person who enjoys the life of senses. And because we are discussing the mystical literature, here also the names of the months have mystical meaning. The words are chosen depending upon the message it wants to give. And the message follows in a sequence. The sequence is dependent upon the evolutionary stages of mystical journey. For example, if someone to ask you what is the meaning of word January, what would you say? If you are to ask how are the names of the months chosen for the Gregorian calendar that is now being used by the entire world, and if you were to do some research on it, you will discover that the names of the months were chosen to either honor a saint, like August is to honor the Greek philosopher Augustine, or to honor a king, or a historical event, but by themselves they are not related at all with each other. Why should February come after the January? No thought is given to that. But you are going to discover that's not how these months and their names were chosen. They were actually indicating the state of spiritual journey. So the introduction was Kirat Karam ke bichhohu, the separation, the moment of separation between the entity and the creator. And why is that separation? Because of the choices made by the entity. Kirat Karam ke bichhohu. And if it becomes aware of that separation, the next stage, Chet, Chetanta, meaning consciousness, memory, awareness, if it becomes aware, the moment it becomes aware of the separation between the ultimate and the self, that awareness leads to the start of the journey. Because it is the start of the journey, hence it is the first month. So you can see, and we will, as we travel, we will see how these states of existence move with the time, and all the 12 stages of human inner condition will be discussed here, which you cannot do in any other calendar. For example, Islamic calendar starts when Muhammad left Mecca and traveled to Medina, and that's called Hijrah. So the first month is related with Muhammad's departure from Mecca. Okay, fine. You start your calendar that way. Now you tell me, what are you going to do in the second month? What are you going to relate that with now? And the third month, and so on and so forth. Because unless those events are programmed to take place at approximately 28 to 30 days interval, now you cannot name your months based on the historical events. So the calendar will not make sense. It will be arbitrary. But a mystic does not look at the time as movement of the celestial bodies or measurement of the time by the clocks. Mystic looks at a continuous movement, and in those movements, how the human consciousness, the spiritual alertness, awareness, spiritual evolution, how is that taking place? And a mystic names it, labels it. Now, the first is start the process. How do you start the process? Chet agovind aradhiye. By learning to live in his memory. And we discovered last time that it is approximately the Gregorian March, the month of March. So what is happening in the month of March? It is announcing the arrival of spring season. So what happens in the spring season? If you look outside, what is happening in spring? The new vegetation, new flowers, new skin on the branches of the trees. That means the nature is accepting the fact that in order to meet the ultimate creator, I need to make a change in myself. So it drops all the old leaves, brings out the new leaves, new flowers. The branches drop all the old upper skin and a new skin is coming up on the trees and the branches. See, the nature is changing itself. Why? Because in March, it took the first step. What was the first step? Chet Govind Aradhiye. That was the first step. What is the second step? If you are in that mode of living in his memory, you're going to start changing yourself. So, if there is no change in you and you are still saying, I am living in his memory, then there is something fundamentally wrong. The process has gone haywire. So you may be singing Allahu, 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 Amen, Amen. Doesn't matter. Om, Om, Ram, Ram, why, doesn't matter. Why? Because there is no change in you. The first step had guaranteed that it will cause a change. Let me remind you the first line again. Chet Govind Aradhiye hove anand ghana. There will be a certain mysterious pleasure, a peace, a quietness, a celebration inside you. That mind that so used to staying quiet and sad and sullen and crying all the time will suddenly blossom like a flower which is going to blossom after March, in the spring. So if you refuse to do that, what is going to be your condition? Next month. Next month is named Vaisakh. Vaisakh is a compound word of Vais plus Shah. Vais means the dress, what you wear, and Shah means the branch of a tree. Vaisakh means a dress that the branch of the tree wears, which means the outer skin. So if the outer skin is changing and new one is coming up, then your second step would have been taken in complete pleasure. Anand. But if Chet Govind Aradhiye continued, but nothing changed in you, well, why didn't it change in you? What could possibly go wrong? Look at the secret. Because the outer world is changing, the mind also ran away, started enjoying the outer world. Look at this new tree, look at this new flower, look at this new petal. It is having fun. But what fun? The outside fun. Why? Because the outside has changed. It completely forgot that I was also supposed to change inside. Because the outside is changing, it says, well, let's have some fun with the outside. So what do? We plan all of our vacations. So what are we going to do in vacation? We are going to visit outside the world. I haven't seen Europe, I haven't seen China, I haven't seen Mongolia, on and on and on, because the outside is changing. So let me run outside. Now that creates a dichotomy. That gives birth to duality. What is the duality? Vaisakh Dheeran kyun vaadhee-aa? Dheeran means the peace and quiet inside. Vaadhee-aa means the mind who's always running to the outside world. Punjabi vaadhee-aa. It's a typical Punjabi word. Vaadhee-aa means to go to another city, another country, to another place. So Vaisakh was meant to create an inner change by dropping the outer. Instead, what the human did? It went outside. Started traveling around. Body is traveling. With that, the mind is traveling. And the soul is completely left orphan. Because majority of the vacationers, when they return back, they come back and say, oh God damn, I'm so tired. Why? Because I packed so much activity, didn't sleep well, didn't rest well, and the outside restaurant food didn't agree with me. Now I am back to my office and I need to sleep a little bit so that I can catch up on my sleep. So instead of recharging the battery, they discharge the battery. They literally short circuit, it's dead. It has to be taken to the mechanic and to get recharged. Which is what we do, we go to the doctors. Somebody is dehydrated, somebody is having a diarrhea, somebody is having this, that. What happened? Oh, I went to Bangladesh. I went to Mexico. Oh, so it is the fault of Mexico? Yeah, well, you know, they don't clean the water very well. Did somebody put a gun to your head and said, go there? You went there by your choice, but you are going to blame them for everything that happened to you, good or bad. And by the way, last month you took a first step on the journey to your mysticism, your spirituality. How many days you were out? About a month. What happened to that journey? Oh, I even forgot. I don't know what he said. I had to start all over again. Vaisakh Dheeran kyun vaadhee-aa? How can you be at peace when your mind is constantly looking to run outside into another city, into another country? And you are expecting this to automatically be given to you? No. If you are running outside, this is what will be given to you. Which is vaisakh Dheeran ko vaadhee-aa jinaa paraym bichhohu. Bichhohu means the pain of separation. See the link? Let me create it for you. These are subtleties. They are not documented anywhere. Kirat karam ke bichhde, separation. Awareness of the separation. Chet govind aradhiye. Live in his memory. But I refused to live in memory but went outside. And then what happened? The pain of separation came back. Vaisakh Dheeran kyun vaadhee-aa jinaa paraym bichhohu. Bichhoda. Separation. So the very first step that was taken with the understanding that I am separated, we completely forgot and we are back to the separation and the pain is starting all over again. Whatever we did in Chet, with the Chetanta, with the awareness, start up the first month, whatever we did, is all gone. We're back to square one. Jinaa, paraym, bichhohu. And when that pain becomes extreme, and you realize again, where did I go wrong? Come on, I am a social animal. Am I not supposed to take my children out? Did I do something wrong? I spent money. I made money. Then why there is a pang inside me? Why there is a suffering? The whole of the world does that. Are they all wrong? One of the most common defense mechanism for every human. Hey, all these people couldn't be wrong, come on. They've been doing it for thousands of years. Every person who comes to you and tell you, do this thing different, you say, well, wait a minute. At the risk of sounding rude to you, first tell me, are all these people wrong? Look, the hall is full. Thousands of people sitting in a stadium. And one preacher speaking. Don't you think he has at least something in him? We are living in the days of TV evangelists, where they claim hundreds of millions of listeners, because it is based on that number they are selling the advertisement to get the money back. Sunday morning, from 7 o'clock, you can turn on any channel that's not catering to the children and the toys. It's basically religious programming. And they run a number. Right on the top, a ticker runs. So many new members joined in the last 15 minutes. Now, how do you answer these questions? Is this guy a fake, or this gal a fake, or the people listening to this guy or gal completely lost their marbles? And you scratch your head and neither one of them sounds good. And then you stand in front of any church and ask them, you just heard, love your enemies. Would you please let the body of the guy who just bombed in Boston be buried in your graveyard? And every single church in the United States denies it. But they are in love with their enemies. Why are they denying it? Oh, now I got it. You are a Christian and that guy is a Muslim. So you wouldn't even accept his dead body, much less love him while he is alive. So you tell me what these churches are teaching and what the churchgoers are learning. And if you are not learning anything, how can the fire inside disappear? How can you have a peace inside? Because you are not changing. You are not letting those words affect you at all. Even if you took the first step of Chet Govind Aradhiye, come the vaisakh, you run out. Vaisakh Dheeran ko vaadhee-aa, jinaa paraym bichhohu, the pangs of separation. And how are they caused? Har saajan purakh visaar ke lagee maa-i-aa Dhohu. See, this is what happened to you. Har saajan purakh visaar ke. So when you are sitting in your hotel room with your family and friends, what were you planning? Let's have our morning prayer. Or let's first meditate for half an hour. Or were you checking the timetable of the bus that's going to come in front of the hotel to pick you up, to take you on a ride? What had happened? Saajan purakh visaar ke means that creator you completely forgot. Saajan purakh means the creator, visaar means to completely forget, out of mind. And why is he out of mind? Because I'm on vacation. And why are you on vacation? Look at the season. It is spring season. I certainly couldn't come in winter. And what was the need to run around? To enjoy my senses. Sights and sounds and smells and the taste of a different place, country, city. This is a very common discussion for all the retirees. Have you saved enough for the travel around the world and see every country? The biggest desire of every human who enjoys the sensual pleasures. Har saajan purakh visaar ke, by forgetting your ultimate creator, now you are in the pull of lagee maa-i-aa Dhohu. Maya means the illusionary word, Dhohu means to pull. Now you are under the pull, under the pressure, under the hypnotic trance of the sensory delights. But isn't that so wrong? If we are not supposed to enjoy the senses, why the hell did he give me? A very common question. Created by a very clever mind. Because I have senses, I am supposed to enjoy them all. And the answer is yes. You are supposed to enjoy them all. But not abuse them. You don't need to feed your eyes the outside sights 24/7, 7 days a week. You need to close them sometime from the outside world and start using your inner eye for something different. Oh, but I don't have the time. I can do either that or I can do that. Now you are outsmarting your own self. You do have the time, you just don't want to use it. saajan purakh visaar ke lagee maa-i-aa Dhohu. And what is your biggest excuse for that pull? Hey, look, if I don't follow the pull of the senses, what is the first pull? The hunger. My stomach calls for a piece of bread. And my offspring also has the same pull. So I need to feed them. And then I have to make sure that the tomorrow also has the same provisions available. So I need to save some. Not only meet what is needed now, I have to worry about tomorrow. And not only for myself, but for my family. And since the family lives in a social environment, family has some friends. And they come and visit once in a while, and I need to feed them. Okay, if that's your model, you can continue on that journey. And you're going to learn the lesson the hard way. And what is the lesson you're going to learn? Putar kaltar na sang Dhanaa har avinaasee. Oh, putar means the son. Kaltar means the spouse. Dhanaa means the wealth that you earn. Putar kaltar na sang Dhanaa. All those people you thought you were worrying about for their survival, and you are working so hard to provide them, and the wealth that you are accumulating, you're going to find that none of that is going to be of any use to you at the time of final departure. There is a story a very short story of a message. A king had a saint visiting him, and the saint was yelling and screaming outside the door, "I want a room in this hotel." And the gatekeeper is saying, "This is not a hotel or inn or called a sarai. It is the castle of this king." And he insists this is a hotel. Listening to the noise outside, the king comes outside and says, "What's going on here?" And the servant says, "This guy is saying this is a hotel." So the king inquires, "Why are you calling it a hotel?" He said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did we meet first? Have we ever known each other?" He said, "No. No, I didn't think so, because when I came last time, there was somebody else here." "Oh, you must have met my father." "Where is he now?" "Oh, he died a while back, and now I rule this country. And what will happen when you die? My son will rule this. And what will happen when he dies? Then my grandson will rule it." Ah. So what do you call a place where the people come and stay for a while and then go away? and someone else comes and lives there. Isn't that a hotel? Oh, okay, I got it. I got it. I'm sorry. I was calling it my palace. I will never call it my palace again. Tell me, how can I serve you? He said, well, I have a problem. I am going on a worldwide tour, and I have this little needle that keeps pricking me out of my garb, out of my coat. Can I leave that with you? So that's no service. No, it is a service, because if I do not come back and I die, make sure you bring that key with you. I'll get it in the heavens from you. And king says, no problem. That night, he tells this strange experience to his wife. That the saint has given him this needle and wants to make sure that if I die before he comes back, I take it with me. And the wife says, you gone nuts. How are you going to take this needle with you? He was trying to give you a message. You should not have made this commitment, because when you die, we'll bury your body, but that will be the end of it. The needle is not going to travel with you. It is going to stay in your coffin. So now he is looking for the saint to return the needle. Because the message is very clear that this wealth, no matter how big or how small, cannot travel with anybody. Those of you who follow archaeology or history, you can go on YouTube and find the latest finds in desert of Egypt, or all the archaeological finds being done in Jerusalem, and they are digging the graves and finding the things that the people were buried with, and they are cataloging. 2,500 years of storage of something in a coffin. But those were the days. People thought so. People believed in these things. But today, in our scientific world, we still haven't gotten the message. The race to accumulate as much as possible is still on. All around the world, it isn't one person or these two people, all around the world. And we are being reminded again today that you ran after your nearers and dears, and not only that, you try to make sure that they have enough. So what did you collect? Putar, kaltar, na sang, Dhanaa. Dhanaa means the wealth. They don't travel with you. You come along, empty-handed, and you go back alone, empty-handed. Universal law cannot be changed, has not been changed, not supposed to change. But you are not paying any attention to it. Why not? Because you are too busy enjoying the senses. It doesn't occur to you, I should slow down. Don't I have enough? No, I may have enough now, but I can lose it tomorrow. Look what happened to the people who ran into this tsunami or to the earthquake. So I should have some extra. And the mind forgets right away. I remember my first experience in the United States. Somebody came to sell me life insurance right after I was married. And the argument he used with me after he gave his pitch, and I said, okay, I need to think about it. He said, what do you mean you need to think about it? What happens if I step out of the door before signing this paper and you die? What happens to your newly wedded wife? And I said, come back. Let me tell you something. I am worrying about her while she's alive and I am alive. And if you have any thought that I will worry about her when I am dead, you can forget about it. You want me to carry the worry in my grave? And I told him, I said, don't ever use this picture on anybody again. The moment he realized his mistake, that this thing went, he won't even let me get into the house again. He said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. It came across wrong. Please allow me to visit you when you have your first child. And I said the same thing. I said, of course you're welcome in my house. Indian hospitality. For a cup of tea, or a drink, or a chat, but not selling life insurance. Selling the fear. I mean, what kind of deal is this? I die and she becomes rich? I have known people killing their husband for the insurance. What kind of deal is this? No, the wealth, extra wealth, is a trap. You need enough wealth to satisfy your needs. That is it. And you will realize it. If not today, someday. Here is a reminder for you. Putar, kaltar, na sang Dhanaa, har avinaasee, oh. He is the only one who is avinaasee, indestructible. You have gone away from him and you are attaching yourself to the destructible things. But remember, palach saglee maa-i-aa jhoothai tad mo. Look at the history of the entire human race, not just one person. We're talking of every single human ever born on this planet. What has happened to them? Palach saglee maa-i-aa. Suffering and suffering and suffering. Why? Suffering is because that inside fire of separation has not been put off. You took the first step and then you backtracked. The moment the season changed, you changed your mind. Palach saglee maa-i-aa. Getting trapped by all of this. Every single human has gone through this. and has created the problem for the self and others. Jhoothai dhande mo. These are the false coins, the base coins. In the villages, this is a very common story to be told, that if you have a base coin with you, normally you are told not to throw it out. Why? So when you go to a shop where there is not enough light, you can pass it on. Oh, wait a minute. But in the morning, when the shopkeeper sees there is a base coin, he is going to remember it and he is going to return it to you. That's okay. At least it served the purpose at that moment. Then you can get it back and give the new one. So the base coins are not to be thrown out. These are all base coins. They only work when there is a dark. The moment the light comes, what is that light? The inner awareness. The sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of hearing, sense of seeing, sense of tasting, all base coins. When the inner mind wakes up and see them for the reality they are. And what is their reality? If this skin feels the softness, it is the same skin that pains when it's pinched. The pleasure of the sense is never all positive always. It is positive and negative simultaneously. That's why these are base coins. That's why they are called jhoothai dhande mo. Because what you have left behind is ikas har ke naam bin agai lagee khohi. The only thing that's going to travel with you and will be saved for you is the meditation, is the moment you spend in his memory. Ikas har ke naam bin. Ikas. Just one. Which is what? Har ke naam. His memory. Everything else? Agai lagee khohi. Khohi means to snatch, to take away from you. Everything else will be taken away. And the only thing that left with you will be the moment you spend in his memory. That is your real wealth. That can be saved. And that can also be cashed there. See, that's the difference between this. When you go on vacation, you try to take some loose cash with you because you need to spend to make a telephone call or something, things like that. But the major expenses that you are taking with you, you convert them into traveler's checks, isn't it? What are traveler's checks? They can travel with you longer distance. If they are lost, you can recover them again. And they can be cashed anywhere in the other country. Similarly, what you serve the society here is your cash money, pocket money. You help me today, I'll help you tomorrow. So you can cash it here. But what you meditate is your traveler's check. That can only be cashed when you get to the other dimension. And they cannot be lost, they cannot be stolen, they cannot be burnt. You can take them with you. So if you are going to collect any wealth, collect the one which cannot be stolen, because everything else will be taken away from you, which is ikas har ke naam bin agai lagee khohi, visaar viguchnaa parabh bin avar na khohi. If you are going to forget him completely because it is the spring season and you want to enjoy it the most, then you are setting yourself for a very long-term pain, because parabh bin avar na khohi, nobody else is going to be helpful to you. Nothing else. The only choice, even in the second month, is come back. Recognize your mistake. And it is forgivable because you are a novice. You just took the first step and you fell down. You can be forgiven. Based on what? Pareetam charnee jo lagee tinki nirmal soe. If you have realized that you stumbled, you fell down, don't sit back. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't develop a guilt trip. Oh, I'm so bad. Oh, I can't do it. Everybody else is doing it, but I am the only one who doesn't get it. No. Everybody falls down. Not once, many times. So don't worry about that. To do what then? Come back. Pareetam charnee jo lagee. Bring his memory back into your heart. If you do that, tinki nirmal soe, you will start purifying your inner self. And if you start purifying your inner self again, Nanak ki prabh benati, prabh milo prabh hoye, vaisaakh sohava, taan lagee jaan sant bhite har soe. You can turn this into a true spring celebration by changing yourself, just as every old leaf is changing itself, just as every branch is changing itself, just as every flower is changing itself. You also change yourself. Pray to him. Ask his grace. Admit your shortcoming. I fell again. Please help me. I want to stay on the path. I want to come near to you. Go into that meditative state again. And this month, vaisaakh sohava taan lagee. This can become again a spring season, a beautiful season for you. Jaan sant bhite har soe. If you are again getting back to the Master, take his guidance and get in touch with him. So that is the hymn number 4 on page 133. And this is the second stage of human life, given the title of Vaisakh. We'll take a pause here. Thanks for coming. And if there are any comments or questions, you're welcome.